Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Does your warehouse waste time and money managing forklift batteries? Enersys can energize your operations with a customized solution, delivering the power you need while minimizing ownership costs. Enersys starts by analyzing your operations and then selecting from their comprehensive range of battery and charger technologies, develops a truly optimized system tailored to your needs. Enersys gives you the power to increase productivity and profitability. See how Enersys puts power in motion for you at enersys.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by Sud Bhatija. He is the co-founder of Spot AI, and Spot AI is taking existing camera footage and technology and adding another smart and intelligent layer to it to allow you to really take that video footage and do something more than just watch some video footage. So Sud's going to give us a little bit more information about that, and then we're going to dive into how their technology can help you and apply to the warehousing, distribution, fulfillment industry, and what types of things we can gain from that and the advantages it can give us. So, Sud, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me, Kevin.
Definitely happy to have you on. Definitely interested to learn more about Spot AI here. I think it could be a pretty useful tool from what I've seen already, but you're gonna convince me even more today, I think. So before we kind of dive into the details and stuff, why don't you give us just kind of a little brief overview of Spot AI and tell us a little bit too about how it kind of came about. You're the co-founder there, so how did this idea kind of come into fruition?
For sure. So Spot AI builds an AI camera system that allows you to leverage your video footage to improve the safety, security, and efficiency of your business.
Okay.
We started the company a few years ago when we were grad students at Stanford, which is where we, conceptualized some of this technology.
Right.
And, around that time, companies like Nest and Ring were becoming a really huge deal.
Okay.
And everybody was buying Nest and cameras, and Nest just got acquired by Google for a lot of money, and so had Ring. And, people were really obsessed with looking at video.
Right.
The question we asked ourselves was, if you really want to see your $100 Amazon package on your front doorstep, don't you want to see your $100,000 machine on your factory floor or millions of dollars of inventory moving through your facility? And, as founders, we had a background that spanned video technology and also traditional industries. I started my career in consulting, working with transportation and logistics companies to improve processes and operations. So it seemed fairly clear that video footage and visual context could actually solve a lot of business problems.
Right.
And that's really how we started, going and asking customers, hey, do you use your video footage? And, turns out what we found was that the number of security cameras in the world had drastically grown. Now, there are about 1 billion security cameras in the world, a billion with a B.
Yeah.
And
they're always watching.
They're always watching. And, that's twice the number it used to be just about 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And the reason that's happened is because people at work are using that video footage to get visual context to solve problems. See, if you're a larger, multi-location business or you have a large warehouse, as a manager, you can't be everywhere at the same time. it's a few 100,000 square foot warehouse. You have
Right.
tens or maybe even hundreds of employees, folks coming in on different shifts. Some are new, some are old. You can't always be there.
Right.
But what people are then using in place of that is cameras to see what actually was going on, get the right context to make decisions. And, there were many use cases for that. But what we found was that there was an interface that looks like it was made in 1995. And it doesn't have some of the modern tools that we as consumers are so used to in our daily lives.
Right.
And that's where we saw the opportunity to build our product.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I love the fact that you're able to take something that's existing and not necessarily being utilized in the best way possible. And I definitely say that from experience as an operations manager and, someone that was in charge of safety for a building as well. You, like you said, you have these, now massive buildings, and trying to have eyes everywhere is just impossible, and there's so many things that could happen too as well going on in there, and I remember trying to figure out if there was a safety incident, it was like a forklift collision or something like that, trying to determine what happened, or even just someone saying that someone else took their lunch out of their refrigerator, and like trying to go through that camera and see, what actually happened and figure it out from there is challenging with some of the kind of dated, like you said, technology out there. So it's interesting that you guys are able to take that and give it some different life and some different meaning. So talk to us a little bit about, how the technology actually works, and like how you're taking that existing footage and really kind of giving it a different feel and a more capable or practical type of application.
For sure. So the way the technology works is that we work with any camera system that customers already have, and we give them a really small appliance, like a small server, which basically plugs into their IT closet.
Right.
Once it plugs onto the network, it automatically detects all the cameras that are on that network and sets them up for you in a matter of minutes. And then without any additional software or, VPNs or, any other IT configuration, allows you to securely access those cameras on a dashboard that you can get from any device anywhere. And we have a mobile app as well. And that sort of at a basic level solves the first problem that we see with a lot of customers that have camera systems. They can't access it very easily.
Right.
Now, that dashboard basically is a really modern dashboard that has a lot of these intuitive tools that you're used to as a consumer today. And what we do is that we leverage a lot of AI to power those tools. So the first thing that dashboard does is make it very easy for you to search revenue. So what you described is a problem that customers face often, which is I have a few hours of footage. How do I find what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Right. Very often you don't have enough of a description, right?
Yeah.
Who did what? Well,
what time?
What time? When did it happen?
Yeah.
Right? What was the color of the vehicle? What was the color? What is the color? What is the person wearing? Right?
Yeah.
When exactly did it happen? Right? You have so many cameras, right?
Yeah.
And what that means is that as an operator, you're sitting there and sometimes just looking through hours of footage, and you literally have to spend hours doing that.
Yeah.
So what we do with AI is make it really easy for you to narrow in to the video clip that you're looking for, right? Being able to search by person, being able to search by vehicle, being able to search by, what color of, clothes they're wearing, being able to search by license plate. And we basically shrink down that time it takes to find that footage from like hours to minutes. And then we make it very easy for customers to collaborate with that footage. Once you find the right footage, the next problem customers face is, okay, now I need to download it onto a pen drive, or I need to send that to somebody, so I upload to Google Drive, and then there are a bunch of these emails going back and forth.
Right.
What we allow them to do is just share it with the click of a button through a link, like how you'd share a YouTube clip, for example.
Yeah.
And then we give them a Facebook-like interface that we call cases that allows them to collaborate with anybody. It doesn't have to be in the company. It could be with somebody in law enforcement. It could be with a customer. Let's say you had a customer that claimed that their equipment or their shipment was destroyed on the pallet. So, you can share that footage and, communicate with them through the platform itself, and it avoids having to use multiple different systems for multiple different, for communications. Right. The next problem that we solve is, this is all reactive, right? But how do you proactively start learning about these things?
Right.
So the platform has the ability to let you set alerts which are intelligent for different purposes. Let's say that you have a certain person that was in an area that they shouldn't be in. You can get an alert for that. Let's say you had a person dwelling in a certain area and, be on a certain amount of time, you get an alert for that.
Yeah. So is that, so if you're saying like a certain person not being in the area, is it that the AI and the camera is recognizing that area as a place where no one should go, or is it like the AI is potentially like tracking a certain person? So like if you had like a person that's only supposed to work in the receiving area and somehow they end up like on the other side of the building in shipping, like it gives you an alert to say like someone's not in their work area or something's like out of balance.
So we don't do the face recognition part at this point, but it's more the former, which as an operator, you can define areas that you want to monitor, right? So you can draw a zone and say, okay, in this zone, I need to know if there is a person or if there are more than a certain number of people, or there are more than a certain number of people for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And you can start getting alerts for that. Or is there a vehicle there, right? And it's all up to the person using it. You can define how you want it to.
Right.
And then you can get those alerts by email, by text, as notifications in the app to know when it's happened. And then you have very easy access to the video clip to be able to then pull up that information.
Yeah, very interesting features there. And it definitely, I like the idea of, being able to have certain areas monitored, like especially areas where, you mentioned a big one there where, if you have a forklift or some type of equipment come into an area where, there's not supposed to be equipment, which is certainly something I've experienced in the past. I don't know how many times I tell people not to take the forklifts into the shipping area where people are shipping at the computers. But yeah, being able to get that alert certainly gives you that ability to, before something bad happens, be proactive and, follow up with that person. And because a lot of times, we talked about how, you don't always know everything that's going on. Like, that may be happening more than you think. Like, like one time you're on the floor and you see it happen. So you say something and then it's probably happened, 6 or 7 more times and you had no idea. Right. So very interesting features. I like what it's got going on.
In fact, you brought up a very interesting point about training, right? Like, and kind of trying to get ahead of these problems. So what we see a lot of our customers use it for is, particularly when they have new employees join,
right.
I get an understanding of are they following the right processes, right? So particularly safety managers are looking at that, right? Because if the incident happened, it's very unfortunate, it costs money, but then that also means that the preventive measures didn't work. So people use it more as a preventive tool, and they use this cases tool that we have to actually train and coach employees. So let's say you got a video clip, you have somebody not following a process. You basically save that and, you tag them and collaborate with them and explain to them why this was not the right thing to be done. And, this is actually how it should be done. And, what we see with our customers is that that's able to reduce the prevalence of incidents going forward. So, and, particularly in larger warehouses where you have multiple shifts, large number of staff, you don't know how everybody is doing until you actually look. And then video footage actually even helps unearth gaps that they didn't think they'd have.
Yeah.
But then, now that they found out, they're actually able to prevent accidents in the future.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Very interesting. Yeah. I think that's a great thing too, because you're able to get those things, like you said, and kind of like I mentioned before, it's like, for every like one thing that you catch, there's probably 5 or more other things that you didn't catch, and you don't really know. So if you have this technology, then it's kind of like it's almost like an assistant in a sense. That's like you have it looking out for certain things, and it's able to alert you and tell you, and then you can kind of pinpoint and review those when you have the time, or that block of time in your day, instead of trying to go through hours of footage, like you said, which can take forever. And trust me, I've done that when things have happened, and it's not fun at all. And it's so time consuming, and it's like so tedious too to try and figure that out. So it's great that you're able to take this footage and kind of help to narrow it down, to be able to find things that have happened, but then also find things that you can utilize to be proactive from the safety side and the training side, like you mentioned, and be able to point things out to your employees and understand what's really happening in some occurrences that you may not be anywhere near at the time or be aware of, even on other shifts where maybe you have a smaller staff and you just have like one supervisor versus like your day shift and you have 3 supervisors, not as much coverage. It's a great thing to have that tool. So do you have any kind of maybe customer examples of where companies have utilized the technology and their distribution and fulfillment centers, and how they did that, and what were some of the results potentially?
Yeah, for sure. So warehousing and distribution centers are one of our largest set of customers.
Yeah.
We work ranging from traditional warehouses to large scale distribution centers to self-storage as well. We work with folks like Wine Direct, who is one of the largest direct-to-consumer wine shipping companies.
Okay.
We're deployed at several of their warehouses, I think all of them, and these warehouses are several 100,000 square feet in size.
Right.
That's one of many customers that we work with, and typically with customers, what we find is it starts with use cases around just reactively looking for footage, and then as they get used to the system, they start using it more proactively. Another area that we find customers using it is to actually improve the efficiency of their operations. So actually instrumenting things like how long are trucks idle in the yard, how long do loadings and unloadings take, and so we have a lot of customers who are also looking to optimize the utilization of their trucks. So one of our customers, what they did is, they're a large manufacturing company that also has their distribution and warehouse centers right next door, and what they found is the trucks were actually loading very quickly, which didn't make sense to them. And what they found is that the trucks were only getting loaded to like 50%, and were getting shipped out, but you're basically paying for the full truckload. And by figuring that out, they were actually able to optimize a lot of their trucking costs.
Oh, wow.
And what we do for customers now is we have this feature called intelligence dashboards that basically allow customers to take all these different instrumentations that they want about their business, right? And then see it all in one place and see those metrics right there. So as an operator, you have a very clear sense of, okay, like if this is an area that I need a certain number of people to be in to work, what fraction of time were there enough people working on that, right? Or for example, were there too many people working in this area for like 30% of the time, which speaks to the possibility of a bottleneck. And then, actually looking at that footage and, correcting those processes. So with all these customers, it goes beyond even just safety, training, and security to improving the throughput of their operations.
Very interesting. And so something like the example where you gave, about monitoring and seeing like how long are the trucks at the door for. I mean, is that something like you would input into the platform and tell the AI like, for every truck record what the time frame is, or give me the clip for that? How would that work from the user side? Like, how would they set up something like that or retrieve that kind of information?
They'd basically select the cameras that they want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
They'd identify the zone that they want to see.
Okay.
We give them options for people, vehicles, and then we're adding more and more things that they can detect. So they pick vehicles, and then you can input a threshold for how long you want that to be there before you get some metric, right? And then what the system does is then it counts what's happening or looks at what's happening in every single frame and gives you like an output in terms of metrics and a chart.
Oh, wow.
So you know that in this camera feed, there was a truck that showed up like these times of the day. What were the sort of number of trucks in view, or what was the average time a truck was stationary? And then what customers who have multiple locations do, they get these metrics across all their locations so they can compare. So you have some locations performing better than the others. Why is that happening? Now that you know that insight, you can actually start going into what that looks like, and then improve performance of locations that are lagging by figuring out what the ones who are doing it better are actually doing.
Yeah. That's very interesting, and it's certainly, incredibly useful tool, beyond just kind of monitoring what's going on, to be able to get that kind of information out of it as well is a great thing. And I think about, having, an intern or someone, standing around with a clipboard to get those kind of data points and information, or trying to rely on people who are working on the trucks to record those times as well when they get busy and things, and you don't get those exact data points. So it's really a great thing and useful tool. Certainly a time savings for managers or whoever's looking at that type of data to try and make those improvements. So it's really great. So we touched on this slightly in the beginning. I think I kind of brought this up, but there's some challenges I think in being able to utilize video, and like you said, there's like a billion cameras out there now, right? And they're always kind of watching you and all these things. And I think people sort of inherently feel like sometimes their privacy is being invaded. Certainly, there's been some stories in the news about employees feeling like they've been too closely monitored at work and things like that. So how do you think, we kind of ensure that we're able to utilize video technology like this and rely on video to give us, great information and data about our operation, but at the same time not have employees feel like they're being, incredibly closely monitored or watched or invading their privacy in some way? What's your kind of take on that, and how does Spot AI try and prevent those feelings from happening? So
that's a question we get a lot, and where that perception comes from is from the world of video surveillance, where there is asymmetric access to information. There's somebody in a back room that's sitting who has access to all the video footage and is looking at what you're doing.
Right.
We see this movement of people using video as sort of a shift, because no longer is video just being used for surveillance. No longer is it just being used by one person sitting in a back room. It's actually something that everybody has access to, that everybody is using as part of their day-to-day. So what we find with customers is, when you actually give them access to video, it's not just the IT person. It's the HR person. It's the operations person. It's somebody in leadership. It's the safety person. Everybody starts getting access and starts using and collaborating with it. And then it stops being a tool that people use to just pay attention to others. It's a tool that everybody in the business uses to do a better job at work and collaborate with each other. And then what we find in those situations is that when you start doing that and the organization starts seeing value around it, it becomes less about surveillance and Big Brother. It becomes more about what we call video intelligence, and using it like somebody uses every other form of data in businesses.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting approach, and I think it's I think it's about the communication really too, like communicating to employees like what's going on, and I've been in situations where there was somebody like that was like that backroom person that was monitoring, and even from being a manager, and then getting calls or messages from this person like, oh, go out to the dock right now because something's going on. Somebody's like just lifted a pallet without their gloves on, and it's like okay, thanks for pointing that out, but also too like it's very like closely watching, and not necessarily the best approach, I would say, to have your employees feel comfortable in the workplace. But I think that approach and having them understand and see probably some of the benefits of it too as well, like we talked about earlier, having the benefit of being able to show them like how they're doing, like when you did this, like actually you should have put this here, or you should have done it like this instead, from a training perspective, I think is a great way to try and combat that, certainly. So definitely interesting approach how you're going about that. I was curious about that.
And there's another element to it also, which is video footage isn't just about what did we do wrong, but it's also
right,
what did you do right.
True.
And celebrating that, and using those employees as an example for this is how it should be done. So it's this balance of using it also for the positive. And we've seen in organizations that do that, they also have greater comfort and greater uptake. Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting, and it's a great point too as well. You don't want to always just single out bad things that are happening. Like, you want to celebrate the good things as well. So speaking of good things, actually, I guess, right, you guys just had some recent news as well, that you just closed a new Series B, I believe, right? So tell us a little bit about that, and tell us how that's gonna kind of help you get to the next step in Spot AI, and what that means for the future as well. Yeah, for sure. So we recently raised a $40 million Series B, led by leading venture firms in Silicon Valley, which is where we're based. Over the last couple of years, we've really scaled very, very significantly into market. Okay. Grow another 5x this year over the last year. Nice. And the money that we've raised is really about one, increasing our ability and our reach to serve customers, particularly in logistics, distribution, and manufacturing, but also, more importantly, to build capabilities that are relevant. We consider ourselves a very innovative company as far as product development goes, and we've over the last couple of years released a new feature every couple of weeks. So it's very significant velocity, and we're significantly expanding our AI capabilities to be able to get into newer and deeper workflows that allow businesses to really unlock the value of that video. So yeah, it's really about improving our R&D and improving our ability to reach and serve customers. Awesome, great stuff, and be very great to see what's in store for the future of Spot AI, and maybe the AI can predict that for us in some way, maybe. But it was really great to talk to you here, Sud, and learn about Spot AI and all the great benefits operationally for a business it can have, and it's really a powerful tool that's harnessing something that pretty much, I'm sure, every operation already has, which is some type of a video monitoring system. And I think it's a great add-on to a facility, and certainly something that operations managers and above can take serious advantage of. So really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it. If people are interested in learning more about Spot AI, how can they do that? The best way to do that is to go to our website, spot.ai, and request a free trial. We offer week-long free trials to basically get customers to try it before they buy it, use the product for themselves. So submit your information, and somebody will be reaching out to you pretty quickly.
Awesome. And we'll definitely put that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. So, Sud, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.